I'm not sure I'm with either of you on this one. What is your best to make the playoff value among teams priced at plus 100 or greater? Now, I believe there are 10 teams on BetMGM that are priced at even money or lower. Now let's talk about the higher priced teams. I can't really say I'm surprised with yours, Mike. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's got to be Kansas State here for me. I think that you've got Utah all but completely out of it at this point. They did what they were supposed to do against Colorado. Colorado is still a good team, put up a great fight in that game. But the fact is they got a road win. You look at the game in Provo that they lost, the scoreboard does not indicate how well they still had it, how well they moved the ball, really. And that game was not that lopsided, but I think that they still control their own destiny a little bit. I know there's a team in Texas Tech that is undefeated in the conference, as is BYU and Iowa State, but they control their own destiny against Iowa State on the final game of the season. I think that game, because of the style of play, is going to be one that's going to at least be competitive, and that's where I like Kansas State. When I know they're not at risk of potentially getting blown out in any kind of game, they're going to have a puncher's chance here. So I like them. I think that Iowa State and Texas Tech, I'm not worried about them. They've got a tough schedule remaining. So I really think that it comes down to BYU and Iowa State. And if Iowa State trips up at all, it makes that head-to-head even more important. But either way, I'm on Kansas State here. I think they get in the title game, and I think they ultimately win that title game, putting them in the playoff.
Now, Chip, Mike just talked about BYU. I can't believe that anyone is a believer still. Their schedule is not easy, but at almost twice the value of Kansas State. Do you see it?
Yeah. I think that 40 years from that 1984 BYU national championship, we might have ourselves something special with BYU having a shot at this playoff, because while we had looked at the set of circumstances where the Big 12 title winner only was going to get into the college football playoff, you see Ole Miss taking a couple of losses. You see Tennessee's offense really start to sputter a little bit. You all of a sudden look even at the Big 10, and you start to wonder if we're going to see them overwhelm the bracket in the same way. Because one thing the College Football Playoff Selection Committee has always respected is the loss column. And you know what? Especially with everything that's going on at Utah, I don't know if BYU's going to lose before the Big 12 title game. And in 2022, there was another Big 12 team that was undefeated going into the Big 12 title game. That team lost the Big 12 title game to Kansas State and still made the 4-team playoff. If BYU can get to December 7th with a 0, certainly, and with a 1 possibly in the loss column, then they might not even have to get the Big 12 championship to make it into the college football playoff. Now, if they're in the at-large conversation, they might lose those tiebreakers because of their overall strength of schedule. But given the strength of the team and the schedule remaining, I think we are looking at a BYU team that will be judged by the committee as a 11 or 12 win team. And that kind of win count, I think is going to give you a great shot, especially, again, the way that the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place teams in the Big 10 and the SEC seem to be showing a little bit more vulnerability than we expected.
Yeah, and there's great value there at almost 5-1. So great points there. Now, Emory, we've done what? This is the 8th show that we've done. And in the first one, you hyped up Army, and you aren't going off that train at 20-1. Let's hear it.
Listen, week 1, I ain't see it all, but I seen enough. I saw enough in that game against Lehigh to know that this team was going to be a problem. And again, common theme here, look at how they are playing and not who they are playing. Army right now, number 1 in red zone defense. Number 2 in points given up per game. That's winning football. We know about the discipline on offense. We know about the assignment sound that's necessary to play great offense. And on defense, all of those things are equally aligned. We thought last week that Vegas maybe had caught up to how to gauge this team, how to wager against this team. They put the spread at -25, -26.5. It didn't matter. They rolled all over UAB. This football team is not losing a regular season game. Yes, I am looking at you, Notre Dame. Yes, I am looking at you, Navy, in the American Athletic Conference Championship game, and also the following week after that. This is a football team that will get into the postseason because of how they are dominating on defense, and we know what that offense can do to any team that's not coming off of a bye or 2 weeks to prepare, like a bowl game situation. Army is a real live player to get to the postseason at 20-1.
But Emory, what do we do if Army's undefeated and wins the conference title, and then they still have to play Navy? What does the committee do at that point?
Why do you hate our nation's military, Eric? You put Army in, and then you put Air Force in. You put both. I'm not Air Force, Navy. You put both in. Both would have earned it, because that means both would have beaten Notre Dame, and you already have the conference champion. And if they keep winning, they're going to be ranked high and high and high. And if Navy knocks off the conference champ Army, you put Navy in too. That's easy. Give me something tough, like who's going to win the Sun Belt, or who's going to win, the Pac-2. Give me something difficult. This was an easy one for me.
God bless America.